Have you ever thought about starting your own YouTube channel? This is the RV Life Podcast. I'm Dan Hunt with my incredible wife, Patty Hunt. And today's guest started their own YouTube channel just 2 years ago. And today they have over 100,000 followers.
Well, we don't have over 100,000 followers, but we also made the decision to start a YouTube channel. And that was almost 2 years ago when we decided we were going to sell everything and buy an RV and live on the road full time. And here we are almost 2 years later with a YouTube channel and now the RV Life Podcast.
We are in Philadelphia as we record this, and I got to tell you, it's a little bit cold here, but it's nice being here with the family.
It's really nice. And do you think that it just feels colder to us because we've been chasing warm weather for the last 2 years?
Yeah, you know, when you've been in 70 to 80 degree weather and you come back to 40 degree weather, I just think it feels colder. You know, but Patty, let's talk a little bit about, you know, starting a YouTube channel. And, you know, these people we have on today are just superstars. But do you remember that first day? Do you remember when we sat down in my office and said, you know what, let's sell everything, buy an RV and start a YouTube channel. We'll see all the national parks.
That's a day I'll never forget. I started laughing and laughed so hard until I looked up and realized that you were serious. And it took about 2 months for me to wrap my head around it and decide that we were going to buy an RV and start a YouTube channel all at the same time.
Well, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't go back for anything. But you know what time it is now? It is time for today's fun fact.
How many videos are uploaded to YouTube every day?
Oh my goodness, this was not a difficult one to look up, but the number is staggering. About 3.7 million, that's what I said, 3.7 million new videos are uploaded to YouTube every single day. That's around 271,000 hours of content every single day.
Wow. So I know we're only making a small contribution to that. It's been a journey putting up YouTube videos.
Now, you know, another fact that came out here that just really baffled me is the average length of a YouTube video is 4.4 minutes. Now, our videos average about 20 minutes each video, but I think people are liking the shorter videos, so we're starting to just kind of push our videos, you know, shorter and shorter every time we do them.
Is it the short attention span of people? So, yeah, we're going to try and keep it short. But Dan and I do like to talk and share our knowledge with you guys.
Now, our guests today, they are YouTube superstars. They are experts. They do it better than just about anybody else out there. They have over 1 million views on their YouTube channel. We're going to hear their thoughts right after this.
Selling your RV after years of enjoying it should not be painful. Whether you're upgrading, downsizing, or simply ready to sell, the experts at National Vehicle will help you set a proper valuation for your RV, list it, and sell it when you are ready. An RV valuation is always free at National Vehicle. Get started today by visiting nationalvehicle.com/RVLife. When it comes to understanding the true value of your RV, reach out to the experts at National Vehicle.
Why end your camping season when it gets cold? With the inflatable RV skirting system from Air Skirts, you could extend your camping season year-round. Reach out to Jim and his team by visiting airskirts.com for more information. RV Life Podcast listeners get $100 off a kit order when you use code RVPOD. That is RVPOD for $100 off.
This is the RV Life Podcast. I'm Dan Hunt with my incredible incredible wife, Patty Hunt. And our guest today, well, they were traveling nurses when they first bought an RV, and they caught the RV bug. There is no vaccine for that. They sold their home and became full-time RVers in 2020. They quit their nursing jobs and became full-time content creators with the intent of inspiring others in an entertaining way. And guys, these people are entertaining. They are now social media superstars with a combined following of over 135,000 people. And you know what? They are just great people.
We are talking about Kyle and Renee of Happily Ever Hanks. Welcome to the RV Life Podcast.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Thank you, Dan and Patty. That was quite the entrance there. Love that.
Now, before we get started, I really have to clear something up here. I've been watching your videos. We've been following you, subscribed to your channel for a long time. But who the Hank are Carl, and Nene? Who are they?
That's a great question. So you want to give a little backstory? Because you came up with the Carl name.
Well, especially since, we were Renee and Kyle, our real names. And then, where did the heck these characters come from? It's a good way to put it. We just had these nicknames for each other and we just ran with it. And the viewers love it. It does confuse everyone because they are not sure if it's Kyle or Carl, which just cracks us up.
Why don't you tell everyone how I came up with the Carl name there?
Well, when we were nurses, Kyle would always speak very fast when he was giving reports to the floors over the phone. And every time he would say, ER, it's Kyle, everybody always said, oh, hey, Carl.
I kind of slurred my words there a little bit, spoke really fast, didn't enunciate. I still struggle with it sometimes on the channel, so don't judge me too hard. But so people either call me Kyle or Carl. It's super confusing.
So I just, as for fun, call them Carl once in a while, but now I call it more than ever because we say it on the channel and it's just so much fun to have these different personalities, I should say. We've come to say when Kyle is acting up, he's Carl.
It's almost like you're married to two people at one time.
Yes. Nene just kind of came. You used to be called Nay when you were younger, so I just came up with the pet name of Nene and then just stuck. So I like it.
I'm cool with it.
Okay, so now let's get into a little bit about how you guys got started and your decision to leave nursing. Now, I just want to set this up. I mean, I'm a dad. I'm a granddad. We have 9 grandchildren. Your guys are about the age of
a lot of
older,
our kids.
Yes.
Not even just the older ones.
So now, as a dad, I'm going to say, I helped you out. I put you through college. I put you through nursing school. You're only 30-something years old, and you quit already. Tell me about that decision of moving from nursing into being full-time content creators.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's totally, you sound just like a dad, so you hit that spot on. That's exactly what my father told me too. He's like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
This is a joke, right? Let me know when the month's up and then we'll get back to reality. So Dad, it's not a joke. So what happened is basically at the very beginning of this whole pandemic, a couple of years ago, we actually caught it on the tailwind where we were technically laid off. They didn't have a need for travel nurses any longer. So they said, look, there's no more contracts to be had. Renee and I had banked up a little bit of money on the side. We said it's a good time to just separate ourselves, maybe just take a step back, enjoy life, and just kind of see where things go. We've always wanted to start a YouTube channel, and we just kind of went for it. We didn't ask questions. We just went into it like a full-time job.
Yeah, we had no idea YouTube was going to replace nursing. We started off just by taking a 3-month hiatus from nursing. We're like, you know what? The summer's coming up. Let's go do some traveling. We deserve it.
Yes.
And we haven't been back since.
We have not.
So now how long ago was that since you stopped nursing? And I'm sure your dad's still waiting for you to get back to it.
Yeah, that's good.
It's
been, let's see, it was May of 2020, was it?
Yes.
May of 2020 was our 2 years, or excuse me, we're just over 2 years now. So 2.5 years, basically.
Yes. And we released our first YouTube video June 18th of 2020. So we just were like, oh, this is a good time to just get the channel started, and we'll bank a couple videos so that when we do go back to nursing, we're not stressed about having to work and produce content.
Yep.
And now I don't see how we could do both. You guys know with editing and videos that it's definitely a full-time job, and sometimes more hours than a full-time job.
I think I work more today than I did when I was a full-time director producer in the entertainment industry.
And I was a high school teacher for 20 years and would work all kinds of extra hours. And even those summers off we supposedly get, I was working, and we are working more now than I was then, for sure. So I could relate.
So, I kind of stalked your channel today. And let's go back to your very first video. Let's go in the Wayback Machine and get in and look at your very, very, very first video.
Oh, no.
And what would you say about your first video now?
Talk about no energy.
No energy, a little bit lacking in the energy there. We just kind of sat there and
I'm like, why are we so angry?
we drug our cat into
About
it.
no
The
energy.
poor guy, his name is Dexter. He's a chocolate Siamese cat. So we kind of drug him into it. We're doing this as a family is what we told him.
Yeah,
so
we're all in this together.
we just hit the record button and we were like, this would be a good topic to talk about. A lot of people ask us, how is it traveling on the road full time with a cat? And we figured, wow, good starter off topic to get right out there into things and stuff. So we drug him into the whole situation and just answered all the questions we were ever asked about having a cat on the road.
It was also a topic we could talk about fluently. Like, we knew so much about traveling on the road. So we wanted to pick a topic that we could just throw it out there and just chat about easily without reading from a script or anything like that, or having to do a ton of research. And it went well. I think everybody goes back and looks at their older videos and cringes. But we definitely can pick up so many things we did wrong the first time. But if we never got started, we wouldn't be where we are today.
That's very true. And I just want to point out to our listeners real quick, Dexter the cat is the cutest little cat in the world. And you take this cat around with you, and it's really part of your channel and a part of, it's really the three of you out there. So we're going to try to get you guys to send us a picture of Dexter, and we're going to put it up on our Instagram page so all of our listeners can see who we're talking about, Dexter, the cat.
So, and again, we could totally relate starting a YouTube channel. I certainly cringe at my first couple. Even starting this podcast, I listen back and I'm like, oh, no, I didn't do that. And you learn from it. So what's one thing that you know now? What's one thing you think if you could go back in the Wayback Time Machine, as Dan calls it, that you would do different?
I think one thing we would definitely do different from the get-go is just keeping an open mind on how you can bring a fresh outlook on the niche itself. And when I mean a niche, just like a separate area. So when you look at YouTube, you see all sorts of creators out there. Maybe some talk about finances or gaming. And obviously, we partake in the RV niche. And when we initially got started, we were having a hard time figuring out how we could stand out in the RV niche. We just kind of filmed nonchalantly and hoped that it would take off. But just really determining what your channel represents within that niche is going to give you the rocket fuel takeoff, basically, to really kickstart the channel.
So right from the beginning, you decided you were going to do a YouTube channel. What's your why?
Felt like we were already helping out. This goes back to when we were nurses, and we were actually doing a lot of guidance for travel nurses to get into RVing. Mm-hmm. We were like having little mini seminars where we were teaching about how to find the right RV, the right truck that goes with it, like traveling across the country and setting up. And we actually got encouragement from a lot of friends who were nurses that were like, have you guys ever thought about starting a channel where you just share all this stuff? And we were like, no, we are not those kind of people.
Not in the way of like being people that would stick a camera in their face and just let it out on the internet. We're like, nah, we're introverted. We like to keep our space to ourselves and just kind of blend in, if you know what I mean. So,
but just like everybody else, we also watched YouTubers, and we were inspired by so many others. we decided, let's give it a try. Let's not worry. The biggest fear is worrying what people think about you when you start releasing your first videos, but you get over that really quick and you learn to not worry about those things.
Boy, that's for sure. I'll tell you, if you're worried about that kind of stuff, you'd be worrying about things all the time. Let's talk a little bit about something. Again, I was stalking one of your videos the other day, one that you just put up this last week or two. Let's talk about fame, and let's talk, you guys are about 2.5 years old, something like that, coming up on 3 years, maybe. And, you went into, what's the name of that darn place that you love? Buc-ee's. You went into Buc-ee's and you talked about not being recognized. Is anybody going to come up to me and say hi? So let's talk, you went from 0 to 100,000. You went from nobody to everybody in just a very, very short period of time. So talk about that fame thing and being recognized and, that type of thing.
Yeah, it still feels really abnormal because who we were 5 years ago when we started first living in an RV to who we are right now, we literally are the same people. We just made that leap to stick a camera in our face and kind of be goofy, have fun, really keep it real, so to speak. So to have others come up to us and be like, we follow you guys, we really enjoy your channel, it is overwhelming to say the least, a little bit unnatural for us because we're still getting our foothold within YouTube itself. I mean, we come from a background of working in healthcare. So most of the time people would see us in an ER and we saw people at their worst times. But now we're seeing people out on the street and they're recognizing us at some of their best times when they're out traveling in the RV and making memories. So we really appreciate those times and being able to make that connection out on the road.
Right. I don't feel famous.
No.
If anything, people are like, I watch you all the time. And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
But people are so sweet. And this doesn't mean like when we say it's bizarre, like not in a negative way. We love when people approach us and we appreciate when people say hi and that they love our videos.
Yes.
But it is so like, it's so bizarre that we are like in a way like famous like to some people. Yeah,
it is interesting because I remember watching YouTube back in the day and it was just like, wow, when you see someone on camera, it puts a whole new aspect on it. And to be on the other side now, it's like, it's interesting, it's humbling, and at the same time to really bring home the point is we just like to stick to our core values of what we stand for and not getting lost in the numbers. What we felt the very first day we press record at 0 subscribers is exactly how we feel now having well over 100,000. Is we just want to make sure we're bringing fun, valuable content and just bring a little happiness to the world.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And we connected so well with you guys. We have a lot of the same core beliefs. We're not anywhere near where you guys are in the YouTube world, but we love it. I guess the word I often use is surreal. It all feels surreal. Now, let's talk a little bit because you are kind of famous. We were in Hershey and Nene, you were there, and there was a line of people waiting to greet you. So like it or not, people want to come shake your hand, take a picture.
Wait. Let me just set this stage a little bit. Now, Carl, you weren't there. You were somewhere else. Nene is standing under a pop-up tent. And there is a line literally a mile down the front of that center where we were. I mean, literally, it was a mile of people. And she's just standing there smiling and people are taking pictures of her and everybody wants to be a part of that. So this scene was incredible. I mean, you would have thought it was Joe DiMaggio standing there and every baseball fan in the world was there because that is how excited people were to be there.
Yes. But so when you're walking around places, do you want people to come up to you? Do you want them to come up and say hi?
Absolutely. We feel so upset when we get messages later where people say, we were parked next to you or we saw you and we didn't want to bother you. And it's, we never feel bothered when people who take the time out of their day to watch our content, because time is a very valuable thing in life and in the world. And if people are dedicating time each week to watch our videos and they enjoy it and they keep coming back, like we want to meet you.
Yeah, we just want to like reciprocate that and give you our time and show you guys how much we appreciate y'all, and just really show you guys that anyone can do this lifestyle. And I reiterate my point back what I said initially. It's just, we just happen to be those people that really just put it out on the line and put a camera in our face, but don't let that be the deciding factor of whether or not you get out here on the road. You guys can do it, and anyone can do this lifestyle. And it's a very liberating feeling to be out here and just say, where are we going next?
Yeah. Or to
it's
do
an
YouTube.
Open road.
Like if people are interested in also
for sure
documenting their adventures,
Absolutely.
just being yourself, because that's all when we talk about things we did differently from what we do now, looking back, is we just started to be ourselves and be our goofy, fun selves, which I think people got really attached to that. So that is something that we stick to, and we try to keep it going.
I think that's incredible advice for people. We get asked all the time, I'm sure you do, about how to start a YouTube channel. And it's about being real, do what you love, and just get out there and get started with it.
You know, I'm going to say something to Carl right now. Okay, not Kyle. I'm going to say it to Carl, because when I was at Buc-ee's, and I went to Buc-ee's and I stopped at Buc-ee's only because of you. And we went in real quick and we just looked around and looked at some of the things and that kind of stuff there. But somebody did come up to me and say, "Oh, I know you." In your video, you were upset that nobody came up to you, but that's another story. We're going to come back right after this. We're going to talk about balance of RV life in the YouTube channel. But first, let's get a word from our sponsor.
When traveling in your RV, how do you navigate? Do you use a paper map, a GPS, or do you use Google Maps? Our sponsor, RV Trip Wizard, has the solution, and it just works.
It just works. And we don't move 1 inch without going into RV Trip Wizard and plotting exactly what we're going to do. What do you guys do? I think you guys are RV Trip Wizard people too. What do you guys do when you go from point A to point B?
So I like to think of it as like there's a point A and there's a point Z or X or whatever letter you want to pick, because we base our travels around where do we have to be a certain time of year. Maybe it's a wedding, or we want to eventually visit family during the right season of that location. So filling in those blanks from A to Z is like Trip Wizard, the program, just makes it so easy, because it literally gives you a map and you can map every single point of interest, campgrounds. And being able to see photos of the campground is like so important to us.
Yeah.
Reviews, things like that. It's just like the all-in-one best program. I haven't seen anything that compares to it.
I haven't seen anything that compares to it either. It is just wonderful. You get a 25% discount if you an RV Life Podcast. The code is RV Life Podcast. What's your code? I know you guys have a code too. What's your code?
ThanksHanks.
ThanksHanks.
All one word.
Pretty much our ThanksHanks. Yep.
Okay, so you could say ThanksHanks because that's their code. You can say RV Life Podcast because that's the RV Life Podcast code. And either one you use, you'll get 25% off. You'll get a 7-day free trial. It is a great program. You can cancel it anytime. I got to tell you that these people just know how to do it. It's just really, really great to be associated with them.
So now I want to talk about something that so many people ask. We just talked about that we're probably working more than we did in our previous careers. So let's talk about how you balance RV life and a successful YouTube channel.
It is interesting. We had to plan accordingly. You'll see on a lot of our videos where we are literally editing as we're driving down the road. So Nay really had to jump in full send and actually learn how to drive the fifth wheel, tow it and everything, which has really helped alleviate a lot of pressure off me, because a lot of our travel days end up being during editing days as well. Mm-hmm. So finding the balance between editing and traveling, and then once that balance is found, now it's like, where do you want to go? What do we want to film about? What do we kind of want to bring to the channel?
And you really do have to treat it after a while like a full-time job. It's really hard to get caught up in the series that could lead to burnout, I guess, because you could be editing all day, all night. You could be answering comments. You could justify why you need to do stuff all hours of the day. But if you don't treat it like a job, it won't be a job. So we try during certain hours of the day to shut the laptops and not get on social media and just decompress and go actually out and enjoy things. Like there's many times we go and see things and explore and we don't take a camera with us. It's hard because we're very much like, we should film this. It's beautiful. But we just tell ourselves, no, we have to like just go out and enjoy it as much as we can on our own.
Now, before we move on, I've got to tell Carl that we're going to cut part of that out of this because you said she drives and you edit. I don't do either of those things. I don't plan on doing either of those things.
Love it. Love it.
So we're just going to cut that out.
You know, Carl, Carl Kyle, I'm going to just call you Carl Kyle from now on.
Anything you want.
Carl Kyle, you know, one of the things in my life, I worked for a lot of the networks and I covered a lot of Olympics and that kind of stuff. And I flew in airships and I did the camera work from a blimp as the World Series or whatever was going on. I would get seasick, something terrible, looking at that screen while I was moving all over the place. And I noticed that you were sitting in the back seat, which my wife would never allow me to do, to sit in the back seat while she was driving. But
The car.
you were sitting in the back seat. It looked like you were going to start to edit. You had some headphones on. How do you manage editing? Well, I don't know that I could do that. And I've been doing this my whole life.
I don't know. You definitely got to take your time because I will have my frustrations or I'm like, come on. Because like
The bumpy road.
yeah, if you're trying to make a cut in the video or something and it's like bumping and you're like tapping unnecessarily and things are like, oh, it could be really frustrating.
I'll try to warn him and we'll be on a road where I'm like, you might not want to make any splices right now.
Right. The smallest bump can definitely send you through a whirlwind. So sometimes you'll see me staring out the window. That's just me finding my peace and zen once again, looking out the window like, it's okay.
I love how you take a sometimes tense situation because damn well editing sometimes gets very colorful in his words. And to take a situation where you're driving and editing and make it fun. That's great.
We've all been there, so it makes a lot of sense.
Let's talk a little bit about video equipment and time of editing and time of shooting and, you know, all the things like how do you decide what you're going to shoot? So let's take those and break them down a little bit. One of the big questions I get asked a lot is, what equipment do you use and why did you choose the equipment that you use? So let's talk about camera, sound, and then editing, if you could break it down that way for us.
Sure. So the main equipment that we use, we have a Canon DSLR. It's a Canon R6. And then we have a 15 to 35 lens, which is a vlogging lens. But basically, it's all a bunch of expensive camera gear. We have like a sound mic. It's called a Rode Mic Pro that we have mounted onto the actual camera. That's our main vlogging lens. We also utilize GoPros and iPhones. And one thing I did want to touch base on real quick is that anyone looking to just document their adventures or start a YouTube channel or anything, I really can't emphasize enough because I am that person myself. Don't go pouring all your money into all this expensive gear when you really don't need to. We really want to encourage people to utilize things like iPhones because the newest iPhones are just spectacular with footage. They have instabilization so that it makes the nice video not so choppy and shaky. I can't emphasize that the iPhone would be something I would rely on heavily when starting out. And even now, I still rely on the iPhone more than anything. It's just so quick, it's easy, and it's right there at all times.
Yeah, if we need to quick capture something in the moment, it's better to still be in the moment and just whip the iPhone out than to have to go find the camera, get it set up, and then now recreate that moment. So,
yeah.
You know, it's interesting that you say that because I dictate that all the time myself as well. And Patty and I were recently doing a television show, a morning television show at an RV event, and the cameraman couldn't get his camera in. We were in one of those little teardrop RVs, the little teardrop trailers. He couldn't get the big camera in there, so he whipped out his iPhone. We did the whole interview there on the iPhone, and they just took the audio and put it into the big camera. So, even network television is using and utilizing iPhone because the footage it's really, really, really good. What about editing? What do you do for editing?
Oh, we utilize a program called Final Cut Pro, which is Apple specific. So we like that program. We're all about saving money and just keeping our tires on the road. So the reason I like that program so much is because it's pretty up there with the editing software, and it's just a one-time purchase, meaning you have to, I think the program itself is $300 or $400, somewhere in there, but once you own it, you own it. But other programs like Adobe Premiere is another great editing software, but you have to pay on a monthly basis, and it just never ends. So
yeah, but they're both great programs.
They are both great programs. We're Final Cut people. I live, breathe. If Apple, and I don't even want to let a Windows machine in my RV. Yeah, so we love the Apple programs. I do use Adobe programs. Like this podcast is mastered on Adobe Audition.
Now, I want to jump in and talk about video ideas. How do you come up with the idea? I know I'm going to just be honest here. There's some argument between Dan and I when we're talking about video ideas. He wants one thing, I want something else. How do you guys figure out what you're going to do for a video?
We are the same way.
oh yeah, we've had our moments, our heated moments for sure. It just no matter what, you're going to have those moments, especially working together in such a small space.
I mean, we used to work as nurses together, and that was fine. But in the nursing world, you follow a set of protocols, procedures for a certain type of patient who comes in. So it's pretty cut dry if we work together. But when you take that and go into a creative world where it could be anything, and you're passionate about an idea and you throw it out there, and then your partner's like, I don't know. It just feels like it hits you where you're like, no.
That cuts deep.
It cuts really deep. And I want to share a story that happened with, there was a video we did where we packed up the RV. Actually, it's a pack up process of an RV, like steps you should take to make that process smooth. And he had this great idea to do in the intro, us packing up the RV really fast, like pretending that it's just a small skit. And he's throwing stuff in the RV. I'm like doing a tumble on the bed to like put stuff away. And it was just like something funny to put in the intro. When he first pitched that idea to me, I was pretty much like, no, I don't think that's funny. But I just put my faith in him. And I said, you know what? I'm having a hard time picturing what you're even like talking about. So I just trust you and let's go for it. You just be in charge. We always say, who's the director? If someone has an idea and the other person is like kind of on board, but not sure how it would work, we call that person's idea, you're the director. You say how this should look, and you lead the way, and just hope that the other person's on board eventually when the video comes out.
Yep.
It sounds so much like us. The only difference is because Dan has actually been a director, I often get overruled on a lot of things. But yeah, you sound so much like us.
You didn't say award-winning director.
I'm sorry. Let me put the award-winning director. But he pulls that card all the time, as you can imagine.
It's an interesting, and we talk to a lot of different YouTubers as we go around the country, and we're at different events all the time. And we talk to them and talk about, how do you do this? How do you do that? What do you use? How do you do that? It's really always a very, very interesting discussion. Now, one of the things that you guys did over Thanksgiving this year is you had a thing called Thanksgiving, and it just sounded like a great event. If we weren't so far away, I wanted to go. Because it just sounded like fun. It sounded like a really, really cool thing to do. Talk about where that idea came from and how the event went.
A lot of times you're finding a way to visit family, but that's not always possible when you're on the other side of the country, and you don't want to make that drive all the way across to just hang out with the family during that holiday season, which can sometimes create a little bit of loneliness out on the road. It's a Thanksgiving day and you're scrambling to make spaghetti or something everyone's out having these amazing, immaculate dinners, and we're just sitting here like, well, should we cook a turkey today or what? So it kind of came up with that idea of like, what if we reached out to everyone and see who's out there and who's willing to come a little bit early to celebrate just some time together. We'll call it Hanksgiving, just to do a little play on words. And then we'll just kind of collaborate with one another, sit around the fire, do some giveaways, have some wonderful meals. We ate really good. I mean,
yes,
my goodness, we ate really good.
So much food all weekend. And it was, one of our RV rallies that we did. We've so far had 3 of them, and we have one more coming up at Camp Margaritaville. That one is sold out. And we're really excited to have that next event. But these RV rallies, I mean, if it's not our rallies, I think that people who are also struggling with loneliness on the road, because it's definitely a thing when you hit the road with your spouse or your friend or whoever you're on the road with, definitely go get involved with these community events and just meet other people that you connect with. You're not always going to find that RV bestie you're looking for, but you just might.
Yeah. And it's interesting how we have met some people around the country and then met them on the other side of the country, 6 months later and camped with them there and just hung out for a couple weeks. It's just really, I love this lifestyle. I love what we do. And, let's talk a little bit about that. When you guys started and somebody, one of you came to the other one and said, let's start an RV channel and get some cameras and put the whole thing out there. Did you ever think that you would be sitting here today on an international podcast with over 100,000 followers and another 30, 40, 50,000 on your social media out there? Did you ever think you were going to be superstars?
Never.
Nope. No, sirree. Not even close. We just, man, I would be, mostly we kind of almost started the channel just throwing a fishing line out there. We treated it as like a full-time job, not in the sense of like we need to make money or anything like that. We just wanted to see, would this platform, what we stand for, would this actually have some kind of voice out there on the internet? And that's kind of what we did for those 3 months. We just went all in and treated it as such. But to see what it's become in the community that stands behind it, even more so, it's so much bigger than Renee and I. It's just truly, I'm always at a loss for words. It's really humbling, and it just shows me how much good is left in the world, which is so awesome.
Yeah, it's so wild. Yeah. That's just the best the way to describe how much our lives have changed and this growth and how people dedicate Thursday nights to watch us. It's just wild to us, and we love every second of it. And it's just when you just sit back and look at where you were 5 years ago to now, it's so surreal, like you were saying.
You made 2 decisions: 1, to go full-time RVing, and 2, to start a YouTube channel. How do you feel about those decisions now?
Well, I really want to change it for the world. I mean, this has truly been something that you don't know what you have until you actually get it. And it's like sometimes being away and stepping back from other paths, like when one door closes, another opens. It's been like that for me personally. I just wouldn't change it for the world. I just feel like I've grown so much as this, like a person, as a husband and just a general guy. You just meet out on the road, just maintaining a happy persona. I mean, I feel like the channel is so really cool in that way that you see me, but it is really truly me behind the camera. Is we just let it all out. We maintain our integrity with being happy and just enjoying life to the fullest out on the road. And
also when you were talking about having young ones that are saying, I'm going to leave nursing and go down this avenue of YouTube. If the events in our life did not happen in the order they did, we wouldn't be where we are today with 100,000 followers and YouTube famous or whatever you would call us, because it was travel nursing that made us get an RV in the first place and then get really into, we never wanted to be full-time RVers. We just needed housing while we did RV travel nursing.
More so for Dexter than anything.
Yeah, it was pretty much, it's Dexter's reason. Yeah, he's the reason that we are here where we are today. So
just to kind of elaborate on that a little more, for travel nursing, you're given a tax-free stipends when you're out on the road, and that money you can take and pay for housing and for meals while on the road. You can either have the travel nursing agency find you housing, like an apartment, or you could take that money personally and then go find your own housing. So that's what got us into the RV life, is we realized that we can have a consistent home base basically for Dexter. He wouldn't be having to jump from apartment to apartment because cats hate change. We wanted to give him as consistent of an environment as we possibly could. And we just went all in. We never had towed anything in our entire lives, never owned an RV our entire lives, and we just went full-fledged right into the RV life.
Yeah, thanks, Hanks.
Thanks,
Dexter.
I just want to thank Dexter, too. Thank you, Dexter. What you said is so touching and kind of threw me off where I was going, but it's really touching. When we started on the road, we decided, okay, we're going to go full time. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And the thing that I love best almost 2 years later is meeting people like you, the people we've met, the relationships and connections we've created. So I'm glad that we've had the opportunity to meet you guys. Now, I have a question. I am going to put you guys on the spot here. We're moving into 2023. And if there are no limits at all, no financial limits, no travel limits, diesel's free, whatever that looks like, what would you do? What are your plans for 2023? Give me some thoughts that you might have for the coming year.
That's a good question. So we're trying to figure out, there's a lot of places we haven't visited, believe it or not, in the 5 years we've been doing this. Most people think you'll get in an RV and hit the road and you'll see it all within a year and then be bored out of your mind. But believe it or not, it's just, there's so much to experience here in the States, let alone the rest of the world. So just keeping it honed in on the States, I would love to visit eventually like Alaska. I don't know if we can make that happen next year, or even like the Northeast, Maine, Vermont. We've never been to either of those places either. And I heard they're just spectacular.
I think it would be great to do, starting in Florida, and do an entire loop around, so you get all the seasons, going up the coast to like across to Arizona and then up the coast, Alaska. We've always wanted to go to Canada. That is big on our list. So I know we have a lot of followers from Canada, and we think about coming up and doing a meetup with you guys all the time.
Yes.
And then ending up in Maine in the fall and then shooting back down. I think that would be such a cool route.
You guys are just so incredible. It is just an honor to even know you. And, I'm looking forward to being in Tampa, and maybe we can hang out for a night or two. But it is just really, really great. We have a lot of the same ideals. So we really, really enjoyed having this time with you today. We have been talking to Happily Ever Hanks. That's Kyle and Renee, unless you want to be Carl and Nene. But the most important part is, it's only Dexter. So we got Dexter the whole time there. I'm Dan Hunt with my incredible wife, Patty Hunt, and you are listening to the RV Life Podcast. We'll be back right after this.
National Indoor RV Centers with over 1,000 motorhomes available across multiple locations. National Indoor RV Centers continues to provide an outstanding, hassle-free motorhome ownership experience. National Indoor is the #1 Newmar dealer in the nation and also features brands like Integra, Winnebago, and much more. Visit NIRVC.com and become a part of the National Indoor RV Centers family.
Clear 2O continues to bring its expanding line of water filtration products to RVers with innovations such as their DirtGuard sediment pre-filter, their 1-micron solid carbon block inline water filter, and a wide variety of high-quality filters for your RV's whole house filter system. When it comes to clean water for your RV life, the answer is clear. Clear 2O. Visit clear20.com and use the coupon code RVLIFEPODCAST to save an additional 5% on every purchase.
You're listening to the RV Life Podcast. I'm Dan Hunt with my incredible wife, Patty Hunt. And Patty, let's talk a little bit about that last spot. Clear 2.0. I am holding a Clear 2.0 inline filter in my hand. We just love these things.
It's so great. Not only does the water taste better, but I feel so much more confident that I'm not getting any of the stuff that I shouldn't be getting in my water.
Now, Clear 2.0 has a new 2-stage system. And we have this 2-stage system on our RV. It takes the water, and the first stage takes all the sediment out, and it filters the water down to 10 microns. And the second stage, it brings it down to 1 micron. I got to tell you, our water tastes great.
Yes, even showering feels better. It's not, you don't get the smell, and it's just better.
Now, we did do a video on this. It's a product review of the Clear 2.0 product, and we did it over on our YouTube channel. We'll put a link to that in the notes of the show.
I am so excited from that interview that we just did with Kyle Carl and Nene and Dexter. It was everything that it sounded like when you were listening. They're just such amazing people.
I'll tell you what, they are absolutely superheroes. And we really resonate with their feel, what they say, what they stand for. I can't tell you enough about these people. I think that everybody ought to go back and listen to that interview one more time because it was that good.
And you know what? If you're going to be at the Tampa RV show, or it's called the Florida Super Show, on January 17th to the 22nd, they will be there. We will too, but you can meet probably 4 of them. They'll probably leave Dexter in the RV.
Again, just great people. And we will put a link to their YouTube channel in the show notes as well.
Now, can we do the RV pro tip of the week?
Here's Patrick Buchanan.
Our RV Life pro tip this week is the custom stop option in RV Life Trip Wizard. While Trip Wizard does offer a drag route feature, it can be difficult to get the precision you need for an RV safe route in heavily populated areas, as well as hard to manipulate for tablet users with a touch screen. Custom stops, created either by right-clicking the map or touching and holding for touchscreens, quickly and precisely create a point that the routing must follow, allowing you to change a route easily while still ensuring an RV safe option. Start your 7-day trial of RV Life at RVLife.com. I'm Pat Buchanan with your RV Life Pro Tip of the Week.
I love this feature on the RV Trip Wizard app because we have been joking about the idea that Dan and I make plans and we plan our trip, but then we have a current thought and plans change. And this just helps us to change the route, or we see something else, somewhere else we want to go, and we could just drag the route and change it.
Nene just talked about that in the interview a little while ago. She talked about how she doesn't like to look at it from A to B. She says it's from A to V or A to Z, something like that, because they do so many changes along the way. It's just a great feature. It's a great product. 25% off. 25% off if you use the code RVLIFEPODCAST. And that will be in the show notes below as well.
Now, each week we have a question that we get. So we walk around the campground and we say to people, do you have a question for us? And even, a question we might get an expert on. And today's question comes from somebody who asked about RV safe GPSs. And boy, do we have an answer for that.
Now, I have to tell you, we do not set these up. We just put a mic in front of somebody and they start talking. Let's listen to today's question.
Yeah, I'm Dave from Michigan. And my question is there a reliable trip app out there that you can count on to let you know if there's any low bridges or tight spaces that you don't want to get stuck in with your RV?
So, of course, our answer is RV Trip Wizard, but I want to explain this. Before Dan and I even bought the RV, one of our biggest things was an RV Safe GPS. So Dan did all of his research, and I say Dan did it because he's the research god. He did research on all the different RV Safe GPSs. He, signed up for different apps and different websites, and we decided on RV Trip Wizard and have been using it for 2 years, and it's been amazing.
I think people are going to get tired of me saying this, but we don't move our RV 1 inch without consulting with the RV Trip Wizard first. So it is a great product. If you want more information, reach out to us on social media. Reach out to us anywhere you can, because I got to tell you, we answer each and every one of those notes, and we will get back. It may take a couple days, but we will get back to you. Now, next week, I am so excited for this show next week.
Next week, we are going to talk about setting goals and resolutions. And I know some of you might be thinking, like I used to think, oh, yeah, I set them and then I break them. This year, it's different. So, Dan, you've not been a big New Year's resolution setter in the past. What are you thinking for 2023?
For 2023, I have one big time goal in mind. And this comes from one of our podcasts a couple weeks ago from the Status Crows. Take your time. I feel like I need to slow down a little bit. You ever hear that term, slow down and smell the roses? Well, that's what my goal is, to slow down a little bit and really enjoy the time and the feeling of all the places that we are at.
Now, for me, I set goals. So I set health goals and personal goals and business goals. And we work together and talk about our business goals. This show next week, the woman that we have coming on is an expert, and she's going to give you so much great information on not only setting the goals, but how to keep them possibly even for the whole year. I'm excited about next week's show.
You can get the RV Life podcast on any of your favorite podcast platforms. We are on Apple. We are on Google. We are on Spotify. We're on all of them. So you can get the podcast. Make sure that you follow, that you like, that you give us the 5 stars, and that you download the show. That's going to really, I almost don't want to end this show because it was such a great show. I just enjoyed so much talking to Happily Ever Hanks. They are just great people, all 4 of them, and we're looking forward to spending some time with them down in Florida. But right now, we are in Philadelphia. I'm reminding you to have a great rest of today.
And an even better day tomorrow.